Before we begin today's discussion, let's get an update on the implications of the recent presidential poll in Burundi. And for that, I am joined by my colleague, Frederic Nkundikije, managing editor of the Voice of America's Central Africa Service. Good afternoon, Fred.
Good afternoon, Shaka.
How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Terrific. Now, based on the assessment from your sources on the ground in Burundi, to what extent was this election really legitimate?
I would say that for the millions of Burundians, 69% who voted for Nkurunziza, the election was legitimate. But obviously, it was not for those who were against the third term for President Nkurunziza. But again, we also have to go back and look at what constitutional experts said. There is this law professor in Bujumbura who teaches at the University of Burundi. His name is Pascal Wankara. He, based on his lecture of the Constitution, he said that Nkurunziza had the right to the term. Some people call it second, while others call it third term.
I understand. But what about the election itself, really? Because given reports, for example, that the opposition did not really have a chance, for example, to sell their message anywhere. This because the independent radio, television, and other media organizations, of course, were not working. Based on that and the fact that they couldn't interact with the masses honestly, do you have a problem with those who say that this, may in fact have been a selection as opposed to an election?
Yes, indeed. We can say that opposition political leaders were not given a chance to campaign like the president did. But for those who really know the politics in Burundi, that is one factor. There are so many factors that have led the country to the situation it is in now.
Now, you know, of course, that this is not the only election that has recently been boycotted by the opposition. We did have a boycotted election in Sudan. I am talking about Khartoum, where, in fact, President Omar al-Bashir ended up running against himself and winning by a landslide. And yet, it looks like the international community seems to have endorsed that type of election. Any particular reason why this particular election in the Burundi seems to be unique?
It is unique in the sense that most opposition political parties did not participate. But again, we have to recall here that it is not the first time. In 2010, after the local elections, most opposition political parties decided to actually withdraw. And, they announced that they were not participating because obviously there were allegations that the vote had been rigged. But obviously all these international organizations and also these agencies and the countries that have sent observers in the country, including local organizations, they said the elections in 2010 were, legitimate.
I see. Well, thank you very much, Fred Nkundikije of the Voice of America's Central Africa Service for your insight.
You are welcome, Shaka.
You're most welcome too.